Photograph that Kelli took of herself, and it was, of course, just before she left to go out that night.
My sister is missing. She is, she's the most amazing person.
To those who are responsible for this, we're going to find you too.
I have nothing to do with it. I picked her up and took her home that night. That's it.
Last seen drinking at a bar.
They think someone picked her up and, took her to the bar.
I've never been there. Me and Kelli never went together. We didn't even go to bars together.
She had been in the bar before, okay? But at this point, that's about all I'm able to say.
I love you, and I can't wait to see you. Please have her phone.
Sad for this family tonight, a massive new search and a key photo of missing soldier Kelli Bordeaux, just released by law enforcement. It was taken just hours before she vanished and is sparking a slew of new questions about her disappearance. Here is Kelli in that final photo before she vanished, looking at herself in the mirror, wearing a pink top and short shorts. This is the last outfit she was believed to have been wearing before she vanished. Police released this photo because they want the public to be able to identify her. But police will not say how they got this photo or from whom. Now, we know they didn't get it from Kelli's own cell phone because that cell phone is still missing tonight. Take a look at this. It's an iPhone 4S, the newest iPhone model, very popular. Also, a visible and identifying mark, this tattoo seen here on her upper left thigh. Today, nearly 600 volunteers searching near Kelli's apartment and the bar where she was last seen. Kelli's husband says she would not have strayed far on her own.
She's very responsible. Like, she would not have missed work. She was a dedicated soldier, a dedicated wife. Me and her love each other very much. And I just appreciate everyone out here helping, looking for her.
Yeah, 2 men have been arrested on unrelated charges, but both of them are connected to the bar, Froggy Bottoms, where Kelli was last seen. Now, this man is the bar owner. And then you have this man, the convicted sex offender who claims he drove her home that night, something the family does not believe. What happened to this beautiful young soldier? Call me, 1-877-JVM says, 1-877-586-7297. Now, on the phone with me, Kelli's husband, Mike Bordeaux. Mike, thank you for joining us. I know you must be exhausted. You've been searching for Kelli all day. I want to get to the search in a second. Can you hear me, Mike? Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, hi, Mike. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. We're going to get to the search in a second, and I know you've been searching all day with hundreds of people, but I want to focus on this photo that authorities released. They're not saying where they got this new photo of Kelli, which she took of herself in the mirror with her own iPhone. And so I think this is a very important clue. Do you have any idea or guess as to who cops got this photo from? In other words, who she had sent this photo to hours before she vanished?
I don't know. Yeah, I believe she took that picture of her the night she went out, but I believe she sent that to her sister, and her sister was the one that gave that to the police. Well,
we're taking a close look at this photo, Kelli's iPhone in the photo. Now, some people have pointed out, and again, we're doing this completely and 100% to get information that might lead us to Kelli. She is not wearing any rings. Now, a lot of people don't wear rings. They don't wear their wedding ring. Did she usually wear her wedding ring?
Yes.
So, do you have any thoughts on this photo?
You know what? To be honest with you, I just saw it today, and it was hard enough to even take a look at it without breaking down, so I haven't really looked at the photo much. But she was always wearing a ring, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, well, it doesn't appear, we can't tell for sure 100%, but it doesn't appear that she is wearing that ring. Do you have any idea why she took the photo and sent it to her sister?
Do I have an idea of why she... I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Do you have any idea why she took this photo of herself and sent it to her sister? And Mike, if I could ask you to speak up and hold the phone close.
Just just because she was going out and she wanted to show her sister what she looked like. I'm guessing, girls, they do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Can you tell us about the search? We have some footage of the search, hundreds of people searching. I would like to get a sense of where they were searching. We know that they had searched a pond at one point, came up empty. That pond was, I think it was about 9 miles away from where she vanished. Where were they searching today? And I think we have a map we can show you. Go ahead. Mike? All right, we just lost him. Obviously, our hearts go out to Mike Bordeaux. He is exhausted. He's been searching for his missing wife. There is sort of an outline of where all this is going down. Fayetteville, North Carolina. She was stationed at Fort Bragg. She was last seen at Froggy Bottoms, the bar. The convicted sex offender claims he dropped her off at her apartment, around the block from her apartment. The family doesn't believe it. Brooks, as we take another look at the photo, the last photo that was taken of Kelli hours before she vanished, what is significant to you, Mike Brooks, as a law enforcement analyst?
Well, one of the things you already mentioned, Jane, is the fact that she's not wearing any rings that she would normally wear. The expression on her face, she just looks, she doesn't look real happy to me. I don't see anything in the background that would give away any clues to law enforcement. I'd have to see the picture blown up to see any other particulars. But I'd also think that seeing that tattoo on her thigh, it looks like it probably goes up onto her side also, I think is also a good clue for anyone that would see something like this. But who did she send it to? Did she just send it to her
sister?
Yes, but did she send it to anyone else? That is the other question. Because you can go back into her account and see where that photo was sent. They can go back in and check that, and I'm sure they already have from the search of her apartment. So there's a lot of questions that remain unanswered about this, Jane. And, there's not a whole lot you can glean from this, but I want to know who else besides her sister did she send this photo to, if anyone.
All right, and let's bring in some of the key characters who have surfaced in this tragic disappearance. Today, Fayetteville police held a news conference. One thing they wouldn't talk about is Nick Holbert. He is the convicted sex offender who claims he's a bar hand at Froggy Bottoms. He claims, yeah, I drove Kelli home the night she vanished. Holbert has a rap sheet for indecent liberties with a 5-year-old child. He was arrested last week for not registering as a sex offender. But police are just not talking about him except to say he's a person of information. Listen to this.
The second time that I interviewed Holbert and he left the police department, I have not had any contact with him, his attorneys, or anything else to do with Nick Holbert. I'm not going to comment on anything that Holbert said.
Is that true?
I'm not going to comment on anything that Holbert told you. At the risk of damaging the investigation, I can't speak about specific evidence and people that are involved or people of interest or anything like that.
And one thing we wish they would talk about is this other person who was arrested, the bar owner, Stephen Cantrell, 49 years old. He was taken to custody on Monday. He allegedly owes $400,000 in child support payments and failed to appear in court for a 2001 DWI. He's not being called a suspect, but clearly, Holly Hughes, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, they are focusing on the people who were at this bar where she was last seen, and sometimes police focus on more than one person.
Absolutely, Jane. And what they're doing here is, since this particular man has outstanding issues and warrants, they can take him into custody. And what they're hoping is he's not going to like sitting in jail very much. And so if he knows something, he might give it up in exchange for information, and they'll maybe reduce some of his other charges. So that's what we see going on here. They can take him into custody on another warrant. They know where he is. He's not going to go dispose of evidence, get rid of a body, do any of that if he's involved. But in the meantime, if he's not involved but knows who is, they can use that outstanding charge to levy pressure.
Did he see something? He claims, the other guy claims, oh, I took her home. Maybe he saw something that points in another direction. Remember, this barkeep, who's a convicted sex offender who supposedly drove her home, lives in a lean-to, like a shanty, behind this bar. Let's go to Renee, North Carolina, as we show you some more video of the search that was occurring today. Hundreds of people from around the country and military. Renee, North Carolina, tell us about this search that you personally were involved in.
Well, I got to the area this morning about 8:30 and signed in. We were split up into groups. They started with the alphabet, Group A. Each group had about 50 people. Shown a picture of Kelli, the new one, and told that this is what we were looking for: her pink shirt, her black shorts, and her phone. And we were also told, we were also told to look for bedazzled flip-flops, which she's not wearing in the picture.
All right, Renee, you've got very important things. Hang on, we're going to get to you more on the other side. We want to hear exactly what law enforcement told you. We're taking your calls on this. 1-877-JVM says.
Kelli never went together. We didn't even go to bars together. I mean, the closest bar we would ever go to is Buffalo Wild Wings, and we don't even drink there. We just go to Buffalo Wings and take the rest home.
I played pool with him, and the male friend that she was with said he was leaving that Monday. It was a Sunday night. Said he was leaving Monday morning to go back to Florida. And I was talking with Kelli, and she said that she really liked to come up there Friday.
I couldn't sit here and tell you that she was a regular there. Of course, that term is relative. She had been in the bar before, okay? But at this point, that's about all I'm able to say as far as, whether she had been there before or not.
All right, and we're going to show you some photos of Kelli and her husband in happier times. We're getting two different portraits of Kelli. And the reason we're asking this is simply to try to understand what was going on that night, the night she disappeared. Joe Gomez, investigative reporter, KTRH News Radio. Her husband says she never went out, and yet people at the bar say, yeah, she'd been there before. She's having this photograph without her wedding ring the hours before she disappears. The mother says, oh, they were having marital problems. The husband, who we had just on a little while ago, says, no, we were happy. We're getting this sort of conflicting portrait.
That's right, Jen. A lot of these developments really don't add up. I mean, if you look at the picture of Kelli, I mean, she looks absolutely gorgeous in that photograph. And if she's going out to the bar, she's definitely going to attract some perhaps unwanted attention there. And speaking about that bar, I mean, they got that sex offender who was not registered. That makes me suspicious. Why wasn't he registered to begin with, Jane? And if he was with her and she was dressed like that, and we're relying a lot on his story. He was the last person to see her. So I can understand why police are focusing now on this guy and have now arrested him on an unrelated charge, though, Jane.
Yeah, and I have to say, Kelli's disappearance has some eerie similarities to a very, well, this is a tragic case. We hope the outcome is completely different in this case. For all we know, Kelli is alive and well, but we're just looking at some commonalities here. Amet Sankien. Amet was a beautiful grad student in New York. She went out to a bar, stayed late, and was never seen again. Tragically, she was found dead. She was brutally raped and assaulted by Daryl Littlejohn, who was a bouncer at the bar where Amet was last seen at the time and was violating his curfew by working there. Mike Brooks, unfortunately, when a woman's at a bar and somebody from the bar takes her out of that bar, there's sort of a trust that has to be there, and sometimes that trust is not warranted.
No, and I'm curious if there was any kind of surveillance that showed exactly how close our registered sex offender and her were together. But notice one other thing. Those pictures you showed of she and her husband at, as you said, in happier times, she had no ring on there either, Jane. Her husband says she always wore rings. If you look at those pictures of her with her hand over his back, in the bar or wherever they were, she didn't have on any wedding rings there either.
Yeah, it's a mystery. We're going to stay on top of it. We hope to find her safe.